Hey guys, it's your girl, Nicole from DOGO Argentino, USA. And in today's video, we are going to give a little talk about puppies and what is something you should look for when you're thinking about getting a puppy. If you haven't been here before, welcome. This is the channel where we talk about DOGO Argentino dogs and we admire them, and I give some of my opinions and thoughts and education to this really, really rare breed. And if you are interested in this channel sticking around, please like, comment, share, subscribe. That turns on the algorithm and it lets me make more videos. So I have gotten a couple questions, I would say 4 or 5 in the past couple of months, that are making me a little bit concerned about people who are looking for a new DOGO Argentino puppy. In this case, every single one of these people had the idea that they were going to breed, and they were looking for an initial puppy to be their foundational dog. Whether it was a stud or a bitch, they were looking to breed. And every single, I don't know the kennels in these situations, I only know what the person sent me, because I get so many emails, direct messages. I'm only one person. I answer when I can, but to be honest, I have, say it with me now, 3 businesses and another on the way. If you don't know that, I am a very busy lady. I am a workaholic by many people's standards. And I am launching a new business in September, and that is taking all of my time. So I own a tattoo parlor. I own a honeybee farm. I have created and will be selling my very first set of illustrated tarot cards, and I will be opening a cryotherapy spa with float therapy in the autumn. And I got into that because of my chronic pain as a tattoo artist. But back to DOGO Argentinos. As you guys know, because of you, we have the largest DOGO Argentino channel in the world. And part of that is because you guys are frequently participating, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and I want to thank you for that, because without that, this channel would 100% not exist. And we are getting pretty close to 7,000 members at this point, 7,000 subscribers, I should say. And that's pretty awesome. I'm pretty impressed. That is amazing. I originally, when I started the channel, didn't even think that I would ever hit 1,000 people, because the dog is so incredibly rare. But now, thanks in part to them being introduced to AKC and being accepted for full registration in AKC, I don't know if you guys saw the Dogo that won Westminster. Well, they didn't win Westminster's, they won in their class, in their breed. So anyway, back to puppies. Puppies are an investment if you intend to breed, but not probably the way you think. It's not just merely a financial investment, although that is involved. The investment that you're truly making, in my opinion, is the investment in the future generation of DOGO Argentino dogs. Because when you make choices genetically, you are engaging in animal husbandry, and you're limiting how many dogs are going to have their genes contribute to the next generation. And so, in my opinion, it is so important to make sensible choices for the betterment of the breed, so that you're not weakening the breed. And unfortunately, there is a whole lot of experiences where the breeders are not necessarily the most up and up people that I've ever met. And I personally, along with other people, have had experiences that were extremely negative, and I'm just trying to save you guys pain and heartache down the road. So one of the cases was a person had a puppy that they intended to breed, and that particular puppy had only one descended testicle, and I think the puppy was 5 months old. Now, it is theoretically possible the other one might descend, but at that age it's not super likely, and dogs that have cryptorchidism are extremely likely to get cancer and die. It is a genetic flaw, and it is most definitely something that they would contribute to even if they were able to breed, and most of them still can, not all of them, some of them are straight sterile, but they would definitely contribute it, and it would be a flaw that would be magnified through time. So When they asked the breeder about it, the breeder was like, oh, it's no big deal, that other testicle will descend. Possible, not likely, and not truthful, because the truth is that many dogs with one descended testicle do end up getting testicular cancer. They think it has to do with the undescended testicle and the heat of the abdomen being so high that it ends up turning tumorous. I had an inquiry of someone who had a cute little puppy that they had picked out according to their letter, meaning that the breeder didn't pick the dog, that the buyer picked the dog. And the dog had an overbite. It wasn't severe, but it was there. No, but it was a very young puppy. It wasn't even 8 weeks. I think it was 7 weeks old. And that is a huge problem. He's like, I want to breed this dog. I want to show this dog. I'm like, no, you don't. Because an overbite is a skeletal defect. It's genetic. It will pass on to others. It can cause horrible problems in that animal and in any offspring that also get that gene. I wouldn't buy a dog that had a skull deformity like an overbite or an underbite. What happens with an overbite or an underbite, because it's not their jaw, their upper jaw and their lower jaw isn't properly aligned, more air is getting, in the case of an overbite, let's try to do it this way so you can see. Up here, there's much more air that's going to get in. It's going to dry the soft palate of the mouth, and it can cause all sorts of problems in the dog. Same thing with an underbite, although that one is less likely to dry the palate because the tongue is obviously on top. But it causes awful, awful problems. It is a genetic defect. It's a skeletal deformity, and it is 100% not something that you would want to breed, nor would you even want to show, because the breed standard, regardless of whether it's AKC or UKC, is extremely clear, and those are disqualifying faults. So no, don't get that puppy, don't breed that puppy, and don't believe someone who's telling you it's not a big deal, because it's a big deal. Another problem that I have seen is markings. And I've seen a couple different people. They were, in this case, both of these people were foreign, who were thinking about buying a Dogo Argentino dog that had a couple of out of standard black spots. One had it on the side of the torso, one had it on the rump. Both of those are disqualifying marks. The only black that is allowed on a Dogo Argentino, and it's extremely controversial in some circles, is a pireta, or a pirate mark. And it has to be less than 10% of the entire head, and it has to be forward of the ears. Generally, it's over an eye. But I've also seen it where it's kind of above the eye, like an eyebrow, or beneath it. It just has to be in front of the ears according to the breed standard. So I've seen those where it was clearly more than 10% of the head. It was more like 40 or 50% of the head. And it was a beautiful dog, but that was not standard. Whether you like it or not, that's the way the standard was written, and that was not standard. So if you're trying to breed a dog, you're trying to show a dog, I would probably not get a dog that was clearly out of standard in the coat markings. That's just my opinion. Take it for what you will. Another problem that I have seen, and I've seen this more frequently in producers that seem to be in other countries, and I don't know if that's just because those are the pictures I happen to have seen by pure chance, or it appears to be more of a problem with that part of the world's genetic stock of this particular purebred dog. But I've seen a lot of duck feet and paw problems. And paw problems are one of the things I discuss in a video regarding anatomy. And paw problems don't hurt the dog in the sense that the dog can't walk, that at least duck foot, for example, but it does actually affect the dog is able to ambulate, but the dog actually has less power and less stamina, and the foot itself is making greater contact with the ground. It affects their ability to hunt. But there's a couple dogs in the United States that are pretty well ranked, that from a show point, that have that particular flaw, where I wouldn't personally probably breed them, because if the foot is completely flat like this, where you have the tarsus and the metatarsus, meaning the toes, and then the upper part of the leg, the pastern is not at the right angle, it really is a weakness, and it shouldn't be continued. Another problem that I've seen, and I've seen this coming from some different types of breeders, is glass eye. Glass eye is where one of the eyes is blue instead of the breed standard black or dark colored. And blue eyes are linked to the gene for deafness, but deafness is not solely linked to blue eyes in Dogo Argentinos. If you don't know much about Dogo Argentinos, they suffer from two very severe problems. One would be deafness, I would say anywhere from 10 to 15% according to George Strain, which is the topmost deafness in dogs expert in the world. It's very high in dogos, very high. Now, to be fair, the conversations that I've had with Dr. Strain have not been about dogos as much as I would like them to be, because his research isn't just about dogos, it's also about bull terriers who frequently suffer from deafness. And if you know anything about the history of the Dogo Argentino breed, then you know that a deaf bull terrier was used in the creation of the Dogo Argentino, and it's a problem, and it's been a problem that's plagued us ever since. So deafness is a problem. So if you have glass eye, either one or two, chances are excellent. By excellent, I mean probably better than 75 to 80% that the side with the blue eyes is going to be deaf, but not always. Just like there can be dark-eyed dogs who are also either partially deaf or fully deaf. But again, I wouldn't take that as a dog to breed. So if you're having someone who is trying to play off a fault, and it's a genetic fault, and say that it's not that big of a deal and you shouldn't worry about it, I would get a second opinion at the very least. Now, it could be that they have more knowledge than you do, and what you're describing really isn't a problem or is temporary. Like in puppies, a lot of times they go butt high, what we call. So the top line, the head and the shoulders are supposed to be higher than the butt. But, see what I did there? Sometimes they go butt high when they're growing, meaning that their butt goes higher than their front. And that happens a lot because the skeleton doesn't grow in the exact proportion. It's not like the front grows and the back grows at the same rate. So sometimes that can be an issue when a puppy is very young. By young, I mean under a year developing, and they end up being perfectly fine. Now, that you might think was a genetic problem when really it's a growth problem. Some of the more difficult genetic problems are things like underbite, overbite, one testicle, those type of things. So hopefully that helps you out. I would just personally get a second opinion. It doesn't mean that what the breeder is saying is wrong, but it may be. And there is a ton of interest in the Dogo Argentino breed now that it's been registered with AKC. This breed is going to just explode in popularity, and a lot of people have the idea that they're going to get a dog and then breed a dog to kind of pay themselves back for the investment of the dog. But the dog that they get isn't actually designed to be bred, meaning it's a pet quality dog, and it makes a fantastic pet, but isn't a good choice to be bred. So just bear these in mind. If you guys want to hear more about topics and selection, let me know in the comments below, because that's how I make my decisions on the videos that I am going to make. As always, I really appreciate your participation, your likes, your comments, and of course your subscription, turning on that bell for notifications so you know when I do release a video, because all those things turn on the YouTube algorithm. They help the channel grow. We are right about 6,900 subs at the moment, and I am slowly grinding trying to get to 10,000. I appreciate your time and attention, and as always, have a wonderful Dogotastic day. Enjoy. Ciao.